cloud. Perfect. So the recording is there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second annual Self-Direction Conference. My name is Tashaya Daniels, and I will be hosting this room today from Easter Seals. I'm going to briefly share some virtual conference etiquette to ensure that we have a successful workshop today. Please remember, if you like it or love it, to use your emoji button to show how you're feeling. We have a chat box available. Feel free to share your thoughts, ideas, or ask any questions in the chat, and we will be able to answer them at the end. We are using Wordly. It's an invite. You can accept it through your chat. It's a translation language if you need it. And also there will be closed caption. Please remember that this is being recorded and that we are asking you to please keep yourself on mute. And today's host will be Josh Bradley. He will be going over technology for accessibility and technology for all. He's from Community Access Unlimited, and this session will cover technology to support individuals in all areas of life, from communication aids to smart home technology, all while linking technology in a way to support independence and meet individualized goals. Some items he's going to be covering today will be iPhones, iPads, and watches, Microsoft accessibility, smart homes, touchpads, AAC, and camera and motion sensors. So please join me in welcoming Josh Bradley and thanking him for today. Josh?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming up. I'm just going to get my screen up. And I think we are good to go now.
Yes.
So just want to tell you guys a little bit about myself. As Tashaya said, my name is Josh Bradley. I work at Community Access Unlimited. I've been with Community Access Unlimited for about 14 years. I've held a lot of different roles here. I actually started my tenure here as a direct support professional. I went on to work and manage one of our homes. Then I transitioned into quality assurance and training. My most recent position was the Managing Assistant Executive Director of Facilities and IT, where I oversaw our facilities operations as well as our IT, which supports about 1,000 staff, and technology at about 60 different locations. I've since transitioned into a role with Assistive Technology, where I'm really excited to kind of, start working with people and making a difference and kind of helping the individual. It's an exciting time to kind of be in this field. There have been a lot of changes that have happened in the last few years that have really transitioned assistive technology from kind of a niche market into something that the general public is interested in. So we're going to go through a lot of things. My hope is that as we kind of cover these items, that if something piques your interest, is that you jot a note down. And after we're done, you use the internet and make it your friend. There are videos upon videos, reviews, critiques, installation guides, for pretty much every device that we're going to talk about today. So if I do cover something that does pique your interest, I suggest you look into it, you find out more, because the information is definitely available for you there. So some things that we'll cover today: smart homes, integrated smart home devices, digital assistants, touchpad locks, camera motion sensors, iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, Microsoft OS accessibility, and assisted augmentative communication devices. So you hear the term smart home a lot. We kind of bandy it around, but what is a smart home? A smart home is a residence equipped with electronic devices and appliances that can be controlled remotely and are often automated for improved convenience and efficiency. I think I read a stat from a real estate source that said for a home to be considered a smart home, it has to contain at least 3 smart home devices.
When you need it most. There you go. Thank you. No matter the reason. Life gives you lemons, Dominoes.
So how can a smart home help you? It helps with convenience. Taking some of these daily tasks that we do all the time that take time, and you automate those tasks, or you have them done with a tap of a button. Energy efficiency. Some of the early smart devices were really designed to improve energy efficiency, whether it's a thermostat for heating and cooling needs that learns when you're home or when you're away, or it's lights that turn on automatically through motion sensors, or through timers that you're able to set. We're seeing a lot of smart devices in the home security area, whether that be lights with motion sensors that come on, or cameras that alert you and record when there's movement. Another benefit is the time savings. Taking those tasks that take a little bit of time every single day, when you kind of add those up, it really makes a big difference. Accessibility. Being able to control something from the place where you are, from your smart device, without actually having to go to that device or navigate to that device, can certainly be a benefit from the accessibility standpoint. Final, peace of mind. A lot of these devices will let you know what is going on in your home when you're not there. There's lots of times that I've been away and we've had a cat sitter come in, and I've been curious whether or not my cats have been fed. I was able to get an alert when the cat sitter got there and opened the door, or they got on camera. So a lot of these devices can give you an extra set of a little extra peace of mind. So we'll go over some common examples of common smart home devices, and then we'll jump into a little bit more after that. So one of the big ones that a lot of people use is the smart thermostats. Here is really kind of the 3 most common types that you'll see. One is the Nest thermostat. This is the Ecobee, and these are the Honeywell. They all work very, very similar. Which one you would choose is really going to be from a design standpoint, or what other systems you may already have in your home. But these are considered learning thermostats. They use a little bit of AI. That's kind of a buzzword that's being thrown around a lot, but it's been around for quite a long time. So these thermostats will learn your preferences. They have motion sensors. They'll learn when you're home, when you're not home. They may integrate with your cell phone. And they're kind of a great way to kind of jump into the smart home and see the benefits pretty quickly. These are things, though, that you probably want to have a professional install. They can be DIY, but they do require some certain types of wires in your home and such. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying one thinking that you can install it yourself on a weekend, because it's something you just may want to look into a little bit more before you jump into it. Next thing is smart lighting. This is becoming very big now too, especially with the kind of advent of LED lights. That's kind of those have been integrated into the smart lighting too. For smart lighting, you see kind of 2 types of smart lighting. You might see the smart light bulbs like we have here. These are the Philips Hue brand. This is a pretty common brand. They were one of the first ones to jump into the market. These would plug into your light sockets just like a normal light, and then you'd be able to control them from your cell phone using the app. Philips was kind of the first to jump into this, but they certainly aren't the only one. If you go to Home Depot or any kind of retailer like Walmart or Target, they'll have a smart light bulb section, and you can find lots of different brands that probably all have their own app and work very, very similar, where you can have the color. You can also change the color of the light. They're kind of cool, and this is another easy lift if you're interested in getting into the smart home. A little bit probably more advanced that requires a little bit more professional installation is over here. You can actually switch your light switches to smart light switches. And this would require you to install it, and it would replace what you currently have for a light switch. And it would have a toggle switch just like your current light switch, but you could also integrate it with an app on your cell phone, and you could turn those lights on and off using the cell phone. The next thing is smart locks. We'll talk about these a little bit later, but I'll give you a brief overview. These are kind of three common types of smart locks. This is very similar to the lock that we're all familiar with, but it is a smart device and it can connect to an app and unlock using the app. The next type you might see is this lock right here. This would replace what is currently on your door. It actually has a keypad so that you could use a code or a fingerprint sensor. What I really like about this is the handle on the door too. It makes it very accessible. It's very easy to grab for someone that may have concerns with grabbing and opening a standard door knob. And then this is the August Smart Lock. This is a battery-powered lock that actually allows you to keep the current deadbolt that you have on your door. It requires no changes on the outside of the door or to this deadbolt. You just unscrew the back side, put this in its place, and you now have a smart lock. So these technologies have come a very long way in the last couple of years, and you're seeing more and more accessibility on this side, and just more and more integration into smartphones. The next thing is smart plugs. When you're talking about smart plugs, there's two types that you see. These are actually very basic plugs right here that come from Amazon. They're very cost effective. They might be $10 or so each. And these can be integrated so that whatever device that is plugged into this plug can actually be turned on remotely using your phone, or it can be, if you have an Alexa enabled device, you can actually enable that and turn that plug on or that device on using your voice and a voice command. These are really easy to install. They're literally just plug and play. Whereas this is actually a replacement smart wall outlet. This would probably require the installation from an electrician or somebody that is very handy and familiar with electricity. But this is a device that is Wi-Fi enabled, so that once you get it up and running, you could add it to your wireless network or whatever kind of hub you use, and you would be able to control this device from your smartphone. The next is appliances. There is a huge boom in the smart appliance, home kitchen appliance kind of area. Almost every home appliance that comes out now has a smart enabled that has some sort of app control. So right here, this is just kind of a smart coffee maker. It's something that can be controlled from your app. You can make your coffee in the morning, and you can wake up, go on your smartphone, and you can set it to brew as soon as you wake up. This is a smart meat thermometer right here. This is actually a smart scale that I happen to have in my own home. This is really cool because it gives you really precise measurements on the cell phone, but it also gives you recipes that you can use. And instead of giving you amounts, it just tells you when to stop pouring the ingredient into the bowl. So it's a very cool device. You know, a lot of these things, you know, they stand out by making processes simpler. You know, and that's what a lot of these companies are trying to do is to make their devices more desirable by making them simpler. This is a microwave from Amazon that can actually integrate with Alexa and be voice activated. And then we have an Instapot that can just be controlled from the smartphone. But as I said, if you kind of pick whatever your go-to kitchen appliance is, and you just go into Google and you Google smart version of whatever that device is, I can guarantee you'll probably find a smart version of that device that's available. Next thing is smart smoke detectors. Here's two versions. This is from Bruce. This is probably more This is more indicative of what people are used to seeing with a smoke detector. You know, it integrates with a cell phone. It can give you alerts, low batteries, and, you know, God forbid there's a fire, it can alert you of that remotely as well. One of the first companies to jump in was Nest, and this is kind of the Nest Protect thermostat smoke detector right here. One of the cool things about the Nest Protect thermostats is they actually integrate with the thermostat that I showed you earlier. And it can actually use the smoke detector as a motion sensor if you have a kind of a multi-zone living, heating and cooling situation, so that if there's movement or a lack of movement in that zone, it will heat and cool or not heat and cool the house appropriately. So just kind of a cool, you know, a cool integration with that feature. The next thing is doorbells. Almost everybody has a Ring doorbell, a Nest doorbell. So these are kind of this is a Ring, this is a Nest, this is kind of a basic ADT. They all kind of work the same. They have a doorbell. They also have a camera. They also have a camera right there. When somebody pushes the doorbell, it gives you an alert to your smartphone. You can also buy an additional accessory that plugs into a wall outlet, so you'd actually get a chime like a traditional doorbell if for some reason you didn't have your smartphone or you were gone and somebody was in the house that didn't have access to it. Doorbells in general, they come kind of in two versions. They come in a wired and a wireless version. The wired doorbell would be if you have a currently powered doorbell. If you do not, you'd probably have to look into a wireless version, which is typically run on batteries, and those batteries may last 6 months to a year before they need to be changed. The next thing that we see is smart blinds and curtains. These used to be a very niche market and very, very expensive because it was kind of a luxury to have kind of, you know, to have automated blinds and curtains that would open and close on their own. It's becoming much, much more accessible. Sometimes you may see that these have their own individual remote controls right here that open and close them, but you're starting to see more and more that do have that smart home integration so that you can use your smartphone to kind of access and open and close and get the natural light into those, or you can close it at the end of the night. You can even set them on timers or schedules so that they do that automatically as well. Next thing is smart garage door openers. This is kind of a traditional garage door opener. It's you know, it's what you would think. It's app enabled. You know, you don't necessarily have to have that garage door opener on your visor anymore in your car. You can also share the quote unquote key with others so that they may be able to open, guests may be able to open your garage door without having to have the fob or whatnot. Kind of as I was looking at these, I thought this one was really cool because this one is made by Ryobi, which actually is powered on rechargeable batteries. So it's not quite as, you know, in the installation isn't quite as intense as maybe this one, but it's a kind of cool little device that I just kind of picked out because I thought it was interesting to have one that didn't take a lot for installation. So you get all these smart devices and they're great, but the problem is that you could get these 10 or 15 smart devices and they all require their own app. So that makes it very, very challenging because then you have to remember what app controls what device and you hope everything works. So when you do pick a device, sometimes what you want to think about is you want to think about, do these devices integrate into my preferred method? So if they do, you can get them all to work in unison, and then you'll truly have a very efficiently running smart home. So what are some of the integrations that you have? It's probably things that you've heard before. So things that you've probably heard is Apple HomeKit, Google Home, Amazon Alexa. You may have heard of Samsung Smart Things. And then I have IFTTT. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end. So which one should you choose? The reality is you should probably choose whichever one you are most comfortable with. If you are an iPhone user, you probably want to choose HomeKit as what you want to use for your ecosystem. If you're an Android user, you probably want to choose Google Home. If you have a lot of Amazon products in your house, you probably want to choose the Amazon Alexa. But the ecosystem that you choose really should be related to what you are most comfortable with. When you are looking at devices to purchase that are for your smart home, you really would want to look to see if they have integration with that specific ecosystem that you're using in. You know, you wouldn't want to buy a thermostat if you're using HomeKit, the Apple HomeKit. You wouldn't want to buy a thermostat that is not compatible with Apple HomeKit. Will it still work? Yes. Will you be able to go into the app and use it? Yes. Will you be able to say, hey, Siri, and have it do whatever you want? And I have to stop that because my Siri is listening. You won't be able to necessarily use some of those functionalities where you can use the voice commands. So that's probably a major consideration when you're looking to jump into this is to pick the ecosystem that you want to be in, and then make sure you're getting devices that are specifically compatible with that ecosystem. So we just kind of talked about that, you know, you can use your voice to do with some of these. So a lot of these ecosystems as well also have smart speakers. The smart speakers that kind of go with those ecosystems are the Apple HomePod, the Amazon Echo, and the Google Nest series. These devices function as a speaker where you can play music through them or other things like that, but they also listen and can respond to voice commands that you give them. So each one of those kind of has their own name. We kind of call them digital assistants. So with Amazon, you would ask to speak to Alexa. For Google, you would say, hey, Google. For Apple, you would say Siri. For Microsoft, you would say Cortana. And if you have a Samsung smartphone, you would say Bixby. Usually just saying hi in one of those will kind of activate that assistant. So they respond to voice commands. They can answer simple questions. They can complete simple tasks. They do require an internet connection to function. If you try to speak to one of those when you're on airplane mode or your internet at home may be down, you're probably going to get an error and say that it's not available at this time. Something for you to remember, though, is that these smart speakers are always listening. They're always kind of listening. They have pretty serious privacy settings on them, and they're listening, and they're usually typically waiting for a phrase to activate. So that might be like the hi Google. And even though it's listening all the time, that device wouldn't actually activate until you hear that command. So why are these things helpful? Convenience. You know, telling my smart assistant to do his task is much easier than me doing the task myself. They also can provide easy access to information. They can give you task management. You can ask it to add something to your list. It also is hands-free operation, right? I can ask it to play me a song, or I can ask it to change the channel or start playing something on my TV. Entertainment, like I said, you can ask it to listen to music or to play something on the TV. Accessibility, anything that allows us to make it easier. You know, if somebody doesn't have the ability or doesn't have the dexterity in their hands, if they can tell the device to do what they want to do, it's going to make it more accessible. Personalization, these devices can get to know you. They can get to know your preferences. So what are some of the hands-free voice commands that you can give to a digital assistant? You can ask it a simple question. You can ask it a simple question like, what's the weather out right now? What's the temperature? What's the weather going to be tomorrow? You can ask it to control a device. You can give it reminders and alarms. It's probably one of my favorite things to do is when I'm cooking, is to say, hey, set a timer for 15 minutes or set an alarm for 6:30. Along with reminders, it comes task management. You can ask it to make a list. You can ask it to add a device or add a item to a list that you had already made. Entertainment, you can ask it to play a song. You can ask it to start a video. Communication, you can dictate a text message to it and it'll read the text message back and ask you if you'd like to send it. So the sky's the limit with this stuff. You really can do a lot of things with this. You know, it's personalized as well. It has context awareness. When I ask what the weather is, it knows where I am currently. It also has voice recognition. It gets to know you. You know, if somebody else was to say, hello, Siri, or you guys have iPhones right here, it's not going to activate your iPhone because it's listening to me. It's going to know that's not your voice. It can give you recommendations based on the history of whatever you're telling it to do. It can also keep track of, and it knows what music and entertainment preferences you has because it knows what you're asking it to do on a routine basis. Next, we'll talk about universal remote controls. These have kind of declined in popularity over time. The cell phone really has limited the market for this. You know, before you could get a remote that you could kind of program to have all of the devices in your home, and you had to take the time to sit and program them all so they kind of worked in concert. You're not necessarily seeing these anymore. Even the ones that do exist, they've kind of come over as well, and they have smartphone integration too, where you can do both. Some of the examples you might see are like the Logitech Harmony series. That's pretty common. That's been popular for a lot of years. The Savant Pro remote and the Cabo Control Center. The Cabo Control Center, that's really designed for somebody that doesn't really have a desire to have smartphone usage. It's a physical device that can control and really get granular with what it controls and how it controls it. The next reason we'd want to do some of these devices is increase security and accessibility. So devices like cameras, doorbells, smart locks, they provide real-time monitoring, remote access, and alerts to enhance home security. Devices like voice-controlled lights and appliances can empower individuals, making it easier to control their living environments. You know, these are functional things that people can add to make their lives easier. You know, if you have a loved one that is constantly losing their key, you can set your home up with a doorbell camera or an outdoor camera and a smart enabled door lock. So when that person gets home, you can get an alert that they get home. You can make sure they get into the house and they have their key. If for some reason they don't have their key, you can actually get that alert, see that they're having trouble, and you can unlock the door remotely for them. Those are some of the neat things that you can do with kind of some of these security devices. Next is smart and touchpad locks. So smart locks offer convenience, a little remote access, key entry and monitoring. Some examples, I showed you some of those. I showed you the smart lock, I showed you the Encode, and I showed you the Yale lock as well. You know, those are some of the common brands. The locks typically are battery powered, so they will require that you change the battery every 6 months or so, but they're really neat. You can send a key to somebody that might be visiting. So gone are the days where you would have to hide a key under the mat or put it in the bushes or anything like that. You know, it's really making things much more accessible and helping a lot of individuals. So the next for security is camera and motion sensors. Smart cameras and motion sensors enhance security by providing real-time monitoring alerts. These cameras are typically accessed via your smartphone. You can set them up to give you an alert when somebody comes onto your porch. They are motion activated as well. You can even set it up so it only gives you an alert if something goes into a certain area. These cameras can be wired or battery powered and they do require an internet connection usually to view the cameras. Some of the examples are Ring cameras like the Arlo Pro, the Wise cameras, and the Philips Hue motion sensors. These cameras have become very cost effective. The Wise cameras you can get for $25, $30 a camera these days. The Ring cameras I think are about $80 or $90. So they've come down in price quite a bit. You know, some of these cameras, they have rechargeable batteries where you can just recharge them once every 6 months or not. At my home, I actually have cameras that are solar powered. I got little solar adapters. I just plugged in the solar adapters and I never have to worry about charging the cameras ever again. They have a little 4x4 solar panel that sits right next to them and keeps them charged all the time. So why would you want to go through these steps? Because it enhances the safety and security for all. You get remote monitoring, you get real-time alerts, you can do automation. God forbid something's to happen, you can have a quick response to whatever it is. It gives you a lot of peace of mind. And a lot of these are hands-free operation. You know, you touch it, you set them, you never have to do it again. And you know, you can use voice commands to do a lot of the things that you would have to do to view these cameras. Next, we'll start kind of talking about Apple devices and the accessibility features that come with Apple devices. You're going to see that a lot of people in the accessibility community default to using Apple devices. There's probably a couple of reasons why that is. One of the reasons I would say is just the nature of the Apple device. They just work and are designed very well. I know people have their preferences, but the Apple devices in general tend not to change very much through the years. Kind of the look, the feel, and the way that the current iPhone works and looks is very little change since the very first iPhone that was introduced. They've obviously made enhancements and things like that, but it still essentially functions the same way. And that's one of the reasons why the Apple devices are the favorites of many people, is because they just intuitively pick it up and know how it works. So in that, you'll see the iPhone, the iPad, and the Apple Watch. And all of those devices integrate pretty interchangeably with each other. You know, they include a lot of robust accessibility features that are built in, like voiceover, magnifier, voice control, switch controls, and shortcuts. So it's really nice. Apple's done a really good job to kind of include accessibility features that are going to really make a difference in people's lives. So we'll talk about a little bit more about those in depth. So, you know, for voiceover, when you are on a screen, you can actually set your iPhone to read what is on that screen. They also have a built-in magnifier, which allows you to enlarge whatever it is that you're looking at. Voice control, you can use your voice to control your phone. That's with Siri. They have switch control. So that's a little bit more of a niche market, but it can control switches that would then have other functions to help you in daily living. Assisted touch, so it has a lot of adaptability to touch control and the amount of pressure that it takes to activate the screen. You can do a lot with that. Sound recognition for those that are visually impaired. It can, or audibly impaired, it can work on both ends. If it hears the sound, it can then give you a visual alert to let you know that sound. Let's say there's a fire alarm going off and you can't hear it. Your iPhone can hear it and it can give you a visual alert to let you know that. There's a lot of different things that you can do with the display, with the contrast to make it so it's easier to see. Speak screen, it says what's on the screen, just as it kind of sounds. You can also do dictation, so you can talk to it and then it can type what you're saying so that you can send that off. Apple has a really robust app store and a lot of third-party solutions. So Apple has a lot of their own apps that are available in the App Store, and they have a lot of third-party apps. Pretty much anything you want to find an app for, you probably can. My only caveat I would say with that is you really want to be wary of free apps. A lot of apps have that free next to them, but if you look really closely, it'll say in-app purchases. So you might get a very watered down version of what that app is for free. So yes, it is technically free, but very easily you can spend a lot of money kind of getting these extra features in the apps. And you just want to do a little bit of research before doing that, just to make sure that one, the app that you got for free is legitimate, and two, that, you know, before you're spending money on something, you just want to kind of look into it to see if it's worth what you're paying for it. So Microsoft has a lot of OS and accessibility built into it as well. You know, Microsoft is traditionally found on personal computers, laptops, and tablets. You can find it in the home, but I can guarantee that you're going to find Microsoft in almost every single business setting that you're in. Almost all computers in the business setting are going to operate using the Windows environment. They have a large array of accessibility features designed to make Windows more accessible for users with diverse needs. So some of the things, it's very similar to what Apple has built in. They have a narrator that can read what's on the screen. They have a magnifier that's built in so you can make certain parts of the screen larger. Speech recognition, high contrast mode to make it a little easier. This one's very interesting. They have built-in sticky keys and filters. If you know somebody that may have problems with the dexterity in their fingers, and they may be known to like push the key for a long time, it won't put a million of whatever that letter is. It'll just do it once. Microsoft has its own digital assistants as well. That's Cortana. They actually have a whole ease of use access center that you can kind of explore and see what the different accessibility features they have. They have built-in closed captioning, and they're all of their devices are also built in with an on-screen keyboard that can be used using a mouse, or if it's a tablet, it can be used using your finger as touch. So one of the nice things about Microsoft is a lot of the business products that are on Windows are also Microsoft Office products as well. So they have a lot of integration from the Windows OS into those Microsoft Office products, which really make it easier to kind of have those integrations and accessibility features go into kind of a business environment. So they actually have an accessibility checker that you can use when you're developing presentations or things in Microsoft Word that you're going to send out to make sure that it's appropriate, it has appropriate accessibility. They have built-in accessibility tools like read aloud, dictation, and text-to-speech, keyboard shortcuts to make complex things a little easier just with a couple strokes of keys. For people with visual impairments that use screen readers, you can provide an alternate text for that image so that when they're reading that with their screen reader, it will actually read the alternate text and describes what's in the image. They have a high contrast mode. Accessibility templates that have been pre-designed by Microsoft that are accessibility friendly. So you kind of don't have to create your own. You can use a template that they already have. They also have Braille support for those that might use Braille inputs. So the next thing we'll talk about is assisted augmented communication device. So these are devices that help individuals with speech or language impairments by providing an alternate means of communication. They include speech-generating devices, communication apps, and specialized tools for communication. These cater to a wide range of users and can be customized to their specific needs. Typically, you'll see these devices heavily customized to the needs of that specific individual. You could see 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals with the same device, but when you really look at those devices, they're going to look nothing alike other than the shell. Why? Because they're going to be heavily customized to the need of that individual. So we can talk a little bit about those. So these are communication methods and tools used by individuals with speech or language impairments. Some of these could be very low-tech solutions. It could be something like a communication board, that just got pictures and is very, very simple. Or it could be a high-tech solution like a speech-generating device or app. The whole point of these devices is to enhance communication and social interactions, allowing people to express themselves effectively. And the goal really is to use what fits best for that individual. Sometimes it's an extremely high-tech solution. Sometimes it's a very low-tech solution like the communication board. You want to use a device or you want to use a solution that is going to be easy to use for that individual. Because the best device and the most expensive device in the world isn't going to mean anything if that person using it isn't comfortable using it. So there's a lot that kind of goes into selecting the right device for that individual. So devices and apps for AAC. It could be a speech generating device. It could be a communication app on their phone like Poloco 2 Go, Touch Chat. It could be a PEC system like a picture change system. It could be the communication board. It could be an eye tracking device that tracks eye movements and allows that person to write or type using their eye movements rather than using a hand or like like you would kind of expect. It could also be text-to-speech software, where they're able to type it in, and then that device speaks whatever words were typed. So when you kind of think about these devices, they are not designed to be a replacement for speech. That's not necessary. It's a device that's designed to enhance communication. They require a lot of personalization. This is not something that you would necessarily just buy off the internet and it would be ready to go right out of the box. A lot of thought and planning is going to go in how to set up that device. There's a lot of training and familiarity needed with the device. It's something that you'd have somebody come out and actually train somebody on how to use and make sure that it's set up properly. There's a lot of buried complexity to it. Like I said, it could be very simple or it could be very, very complicated in a high-end solution. So the whole goal is to integrate it and make it a natural form of communication. Like I said, it is not to replace them for speech. It is just to kind of enhance and make that a little bit more natural and a little easier. So why are we doing all this? We want to enhance the independence and the quality of life for individuals. We want to improve access to education, employment, and communication. We want to promote inclusion and participation. That's kind of the goal of all of this stuff. We want to look at ways that we can bring technology into the lives and into our lives so that we can make things easier. And that's kind of the beauty of what we were talking about earlier, is that, that's really been a push. That's really been a push for a lot of people, is to kind of have that integration. And it's really made it easier for those in the accessibility community, because it's really become a push for the general public as well. So it's been a nice transition for those in this community. So if you need help, where can you find the help? You can come to service providers like us at CAU. In the past 3 years, we've helped about 150 people with assistive technology. There's other service providers, I'm sure, all throughout the state that may be in your area that can help you. For some of this stuff, you can see a physical therapist, you can see an occupational therapist or a speech therapist. They're going to be very familiar with these devices too. They can make recommendations. I always like to put out online resources. I talked about YouTube videos and how they're great, because you can really get a hands-on feel to something before you kind of make the plunge. You can get somebody else's opinion. You can watch reviews to see how they work, what they like and what they don't like. Those are great. The other online resource that I really like to recommend that people use is Facebook groups or things like that. There are a lot of communities that are very robust online. When we're kind of navigating problems in the world like this, we sometimes feel like we're alone and we're the only one going through this. And if you take a few minutes to kind of look at the communities that exist, and just spend a little bit of time, you can see that you probably aren't the first person to ever have this problem or to have this concern or to have this challenge. And there's this swath of information that's available for the taking if you just know where to look for it. So definitely kind of look to see what's out there. Don't hesitate to ask questions. The communities, these Facebook groups and these communities, they tend to be very inviting, and they exist so that people don't have to kind of struggle the same way that they did. So that's a really good resource that I recommend that people use. I'd like to thank you guys for attending tonight. If you have any questions, you can kind of reach out to me. My name again is Joshua Bradley. I work for Community Access Unlimited. I can be reached at jbradley@cauNJ.org. I guess we can open it up to questions if there's any questions.
Yes, so one of the questions that we have here is, are there any informational links or catalogs available for these devices?
So for most of them, is there one in particular that we're looking for, or is there is just in general?
They don't ask for anyone in general or specifically, they're just they're asking generally, like, is there like a catalog where they're able to see these devices and then information or links regarding the devices?
So most of these, so this is kind of this is the double-edged sword that we kind of talked about, right? For the most part, all the devices that I talked about are actually generally available in pretty much every retail store, Walmart, Target, malls, Best Buy, things like that. Because these are all retail devices, unfortunately, gone are the days where you kind of picked up a catalog that was full of, you know, just singular accessible devices. If something that I said spoke to you, and you'd like more information about it, if you want to email me, I'd be more than happy to give you some information on it. To the same point, Google is your friend. You know, if you want information on one of those specific devices, you know, you can, you know, plug it in there and take a peek and see what's available. You know, as with anything on Google, try to find a reputable site, try to find a name that you know. When you're looking at reviews, you know, you just don't want to read random Amazon reviews. You want to kind of look at something that you may be familiar with. But like I said, if there's a specific device, I'd be more than happy to share any information I have on it.
Yeah, so she had actually elaborated just like a comprehensive catalog. So I know you're saying like they can go and look for the device and then go from there. But they were wondering if there was like a comprehensive catalog from, you know, maybe devices other people have used so that they can know exactly what's available if someone needs like a starting point.
Yeah, I can if like I said, if you want to email me, I'll try to put something together and I can put something together for them.
Don't be shy, guys. Are there any other questions that we can help you with? And she said, thank you. Is there any other questions that you have for Josh? If you have any, you can unmute yourself to ask the question here, or you can put the question in the chat. And this is a really great opportunity for anyone who's interested in that assistive technology or even like those home modifications, while we have Josh, so he's able to answer any of those questions regarding the assessment and the processes. Even if you are going through the process now or want to learn any information about it. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So this concludes our workshop for today. Thank you, Josh, for presenting and sharing your knowledge and resources. We really appreciate everything today, and have a wonderful evening, everyone.